Welcome to Lipstick, Laughs and Leadership, the podcast where we talk real leadership without the corporate BS.
We're Jodie and Emma, and this is a space for honest, human conversations about confidence, influence, well-being, and what it really takes to lead in today's world.
This podcast is for women who are capable, ambitious and thoughtful, but who might sometimes feel tired, stretched, or quietly question whether there's another way to do leadership.
There's no jargon here, no rigid rules, and certainly no pretending. Just lived experience, straight talk, laughter, and leadership that actually feels good on the inside.
So grab a cuppa, get yourself comfortable,
and welcome to the sofa.
Welcome back to Lipstick, Laughs and Leadership. This is officially episode 1.
Woo!
We're here. Welcome. And today's topic is confidence without the corporate mask. Very, very interesting topic, which I'm sure you're really going to enjoy.
And a good place to start, right? That, it's important because it's one of those words, isn't it, that gets thrown around left, right and centre, a bit blasé. But I don't think I've met a leader yet, especially not a female leader yet, that doesn't want to be a bit more confident.
Yeah,
watch what'll happen now. Someone will message in and go, I don't.
Yeah. Well, and good for you if you don't. Good for you.
Share your secrets.
Yeah, no, it is definitely a word that we hear a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of us asking people, how they want to develop, how they feel about being a leader, etc. So I think a great place to start is actually just breaking down, well, what is confidence and how we describe it, really. So what are your thoughts, Jodes?
Well, I always make a little bit of a joke about it sometimes because, I always say to, when I'm delivering to rooms, big rooms, if I'm doing a conference event normally, I'd say something along the lines of, if I had a quid for every time I'd seen a PDP that had on it, such a body, Jodie just, needs to improve her confidence. And I'd be like, no shit, Sherlock. Oh, I'll tell you what then, shall I just pop down to Waitrose and get some on my way home from work? Or
it's not that easy, is it?
Or even, wouldn't it be great if you could get it off Amazon Prime?
It would, absolutely. Delivered to my door tomorrow,
Never mind tomorrow, I can get it at 1:00 this afternoon these days.
Yeah.
Or, sometimes it's even like, well, I've just got a little switch on my back. I forgot to put that on this morning. But it isn't that easy, is it?
It's not, no. And I think because it's something that's hard to measure, it's not something that is tangible. It's like, how do you know when you've actually achieved it? I think it's something that we're always aspiring to because there's no, when you turn that dial on your back that goes, that's it, you've got full confidence now, that's it. So yeah, I think when you Google the definition of confidence, a lot of the words that you tend to get are things like feeling like you've got a lack of ability or self-doubt in your capabilities, whether that's as a person or whether that is as a leader. But that word ability and capability and self-doubt tend to be the things that come up and that come together. And I like to think of that as a little kind of voice in your mind that's sometimes just a niggle in the back of your head is, am I good enough? And I think imposter syndrome definitely links into this, because it's such a big topic, we're going to cover that on its own in a different episode.
We could probably do a whole season.
We probably
won't,
could. But we will touch on it a little bit today, because I think whenever I do imposter syndrome workshops and I say, what's your expectation? A lot of it is feeling more confident. So I think those two things do come together.
Yeah. Sometimes I say to people, just to see where the conversation goes, not because I believe there's necessarily a right or wrong answer, but I'll say to people, do you think confidence is a skill or do you think it's a behaviour? And then people are like, oh God, I don't know, but it creates great conversation and great debate. Yeah. I think where I ended up settling on it, and I'm not saying I'm right, is it feels like it's a state. Yeah. Confidence feels like a state. We've often talked about it being around how we feel.
Yeah.
So an emotional state maybe that is brought about by our degree of feeling able and capable at whatever it is we're about to do.
Yeah.
And whatever we're about to do could be a skill, it could be a behaviour, it could be about knowledge, or a couple more things. Yeah. So it's almost like a one removed. I don't know, am I making any sense?
Yes, because when you said about skill or behaviour, in my head immediately I kind of thought, it's probably a behaviour that you feel or shows in itself, because there are ways it kind of manifests in your behaviour, even if it's the standing up and presenting and getting the red rash and that kind of thing. But I think it's that behaviour that comes out and that feeling you get because you feel that you maybe haven't got the skill, like you said, in whatever it is you're about to do. And I think that's where it comes up quite often, is having the confidence to do something new, something that you've never done before. That's where it kind of rears its head a little bit, and you get that voice. And that voice is trying to keep you safe ultimately, because it's unfamiliar with the thing that you're trying to do. But that voice can go on sometimes for years as a leader. If you've never been on any training or had any development, or, maybe you're having a difficult conversation with someone, there's sometimes that niggling feeling in the back of your mind of, is there a better way that I could be doing this? Am I doing it in the right way?
Or is this working?
Is it working?
Or is it going Pete Tong?
Yeah. And another big one that you get from leaders is, what are people the person I'm talking to, are they going to think I'm a good leader? And I think we have this innate thing in us that we want to be liked, but sometimes as leaders we've got to make tough decisions and have those conversations, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes I don't know if we get a bit of a wonky understanding of what it means. When we see someone who we think's confident, and I'm sure we can discuss this in a little bit more detail about what's really going on there, but often the people that we pin their confidence badge on, it's normally because someone's being, quite extroverted or a bit loud or happy to be seen or making a noise about something. And confidence, I don't think it has to be that. I think you can be quite quietly confident and in quite a reserved way.
I think it's the same with we think to make an impact we've got to be loud. Sometimes we've got to be the loudest voice in the room, but actually you can quietly make an impact. And I'm sure we'll get onto some other podcasts where we talk about the importance of listening. You can make just as much of an impact and look confident by having a conversation with somebody and listening and genuinely paying an interest into what they're saying. But I think, confidence, there's one thing that, just as you were talking there, I was thinking over the years, when people have said to me, or I've said, I'm quite a confident person, my next thing has often been, and I use this as an example all the time, is, I can walk into any pub on my own, and I feel confident to do that. I'm not the type of person that has to sit in the car, text a friend and say, I'm here, let me know when we're walking together. I'll walk into somewhere like that. But it's like you said about what you can see on the outside, how people can feel on the inside. I've maybe done that, and there's been times where I've walked in and thought, oh, everyone's staring at me, or, and felt probably a little bit unconfident, if that's the word, on the inside, but I'll still do it. And I think that's what you tend to get sometimes in life, is you get people that will let that feeling limit them and not do the thing, or people that just embrace that feeling and go, I'm going to do it anyway.
And do you know what, you've made me think of a phrase that pisses me off, actually, so I've given it away whether I believe in it or like it. Any idea what I'm going to say?
No.
I hate fake it till you make it. Do you like it, or do you hate it?
Say that. I probably wouldn't say hate as much, but I'm definitely on that side rather than it's not a phrase that I would use.
No. One, because I feel like I can always see through it, and that for me is what looks like bravado and bigger and louder when we fake something. I prefer a lot more authenticity, vulnerability, a bit of humility. Do you know what I mean? Than faking it till I make it.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's an element of, and I talk about this quite often, of work, feeling like you are somebody that wants to work on your confidence, and maybe making some small changes to make you feel, you might not in the moment feel confident.
Yeah.
Like, the little things, like I always say about, you can walk into a meeting room all hunched over, trying to make yourself small, apologizing for being in the room and existing sometimes.
Yeah.
Or you can just go, do you know what, I'm going to feel more confident if I just stand more upright and walk into the room. So I suppose that could be a way of people seeing it as fake it till you make it, but that's just a subtle change that you can make in your body language that makes you feel more, and you more add more presence to the room.
And that's the word that was in my head. That's, it's a way to demonstrate presence, isn't it? And actually, when you are uber present, I think your confidence naturally goes up. But that's a topic for an episode all of its own as well. And don't worry, we will get to that. I think the thing with fake it till you make it for me is, I'm all for, so the other phrase that springs to mind is, step into the person you want to be today, which some people might go, well, isn't that faking it till you make it? And I suppose in a way it is, but pure fake it till you make it for me never ends up doing the actual work. You just fake it. You're flying by the seat of your pants a bit. Whereas if I'm stepping into the person that I want to be today, then I'm emulating the behaviours, the skills, the environment, the perception that I ultimately want to be. And therefore I'm learning how to do it.
Yeah.
I know it's subtle, it's nuanced, it might feel a bit, nitpicky, but I do think there's a big difference there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, that's my view on fake it till you make it.
Yeah, but a word that you hit on there at the end about learning, and learning about the person that that I want to be, or learning how to be more confident. And I think that's the key thing is at certain times why we feel less confident. And I think it's definitely, when I ask people, it'll be times when they're doing something new, something that's unfamiliar to them. Nobody tells me that they don't feel confident when they're sat on the sofa under a blanket watching Netflix. Yeah, you're fine then. You're safe. You're in your familiar surroundings.
You can get your hula hoops out in a minute, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Wait till you see Emma and her hula hoops.
I do like a good prop in my training. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I think it's whenever, and I hate the phrase, you just need to push yourself out your comfort zone, because it's filled with negative words. There, the word push, and you've got to go away from something. The brain does not like it when we try and go away from something. It's more about how you go towards something. And so then that makes you think about, okay, well, if I am going out of my comfort zone, what am I actually going towards? And that's the thing to focus on. And the thing you're going towards is growth, isn't it? Like you said, learning about who you want to be today. The thing is, what a lot of people don't think about is that there's two hula hoops or circles or zones, if you want to call them that, that we've got to get through before we get to the growth zone. And so it's not that easy. But what a lot of people do, and I talked about the limiting of themselves before, is you take one step out of that comfort zone to test the water, and it's like, oh no, I don't like that. It feels uncomfortable.
It's too cold.
Yeah, it feels icky. So the easiest thing to do is we just revert back to type, don't we, and go, no, I'm not going to do that.
I'll stay here.
Actually, and that might be, I'm not going to apply for that job, for that promotion. It might be that, oh no, I didn't like presenting, so I'm not going to do that again. And we kind of go away from it thinking, well, actually, I'm going to practice, and the more times I do it, I'm going to get better at it. And so the two zones in between are kind of, the first one is that fear zone. And this word fear is really important, because the two main causes of stress are the fear of lack of control or the fear of loss of approval. And so when we talk about confidence in the mix with that, well, actually, we might be in a situation that we feel we're not in control of. So we're fearful of that.
I know so many control freaks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when I look in the mirror.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, I think we all can be, to a degree, can't we?
Absolutely. And that fear of loss of approval is, this thing that I'm about to do. If you're a leader, my team that I'm addressing, or this person I'm having a conversation with, are they going to approve of me as a person, as a leader, as a human being? And so those two things kick off that fear response.
That last one, the fear of not getting approval, I think that's massively accelerated since COVID. And probably a bit of a generational thing as well, because I've got daughters who are now in their early 20s.
Yeah.
One thing I've seen in that generation now, when they're coming into the workplace right now, is that their generation has grown up with so much judgment because their lives are so exposed and, online. That's all they ever say to me is, yeah, but I'll get judged for that. What will everybody else think? So I only think that's becoming more and more of a bigger problem that we've got to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that being in that fear zone and being in that, having that loss of approval, like a control, it's sometimes good just to understand that's going on for everybody, not just you. And the fact that, I suppose, the key thing, and it's easier said than done, that it takes when you step out that comfort zone into your fear zone is courage. And you've got to have that courage to go, okay, I know I'm feeling like this is perfectly normal. It's because I'm doing something new. It's because I'm doing something that I care about as well. I want to do a good job of this thing or being a leader.
Yeah.
But then we're still not into the growth zone when we've gone through that, because there's another one in between, which is the learning zone. And I think patience is required here. When you do something new, you have got to learn how to do it. And I think this is something I see time and time again with leaders is, how many leaders have you come into contact with that were kind of just thrown into a leadership role rather than actually being developed first?
Yeah. I don't know if I even know one
that's been developed properly and they've kind of all just ended up being a manager. I just don't know how I got here, kind of thing. And I think we forget that, it's like the old saying, isn't it? The best footballers don't make the best managers. And I've worked with salespeople, and we just used to promote people for being the best salesperson.
I've seen that many times,
and it's a total different skill set, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is it any wonder why they go into those roles and then they feel that lack of confidence? Because it's like, I've gone from being, almost a big fish in a little pond and being the best salesperson to now it's like,
I'm being uber confident.
Yeah, absolutely. And having that mastery in your role, knowing what you're doing, to go, now I've got people I'm responsible for. No one's taught me how to do this. And, it's like I said, a whole different ball game. So we've got to be patient in going through that learning zone, haven't we?
Before you even get to the
growth zone,
the holy land of the growth zone, where things begin to feel good.
Yeah. But then, and that confidence, it's hard to explain. Well, how does it feel when you get there? Because I think there's just always an aspiration, and you might get there with one thing, but then it's like, well, if you want to then progress and do more, you've kind of back to that start again.
Snakes and ladders, isn't it? It is again, and it's seeing it sometimes as a bit of a game of snakes and ladders. That, as cheesy as it sounds, I always say management and leadership, if you think it's about the destination, if you think there's a finish line, you're in the wrong job.
Yeah.
It's one of those where it's absolutely about the journey.
Yeah.
And it's a forever journey.
It is.
Leadership's not for the faint-hearted. That you don't get to a point where you can go,
no.
Well, look at that, what I've created. It never happens, does it? There's no promised land like that.
And you know what? A key thing there that's made me think of that I talk about often is this word expert. Because so many people, when I ask them, why wouldn't you consider yourself an expert? They say, well, because I've still got more to learn. I don't know everything there is to know about my job. And I'm like, but will you ever? And it's like, I'll get to the point where I retire and there'll still be more to leadership that I know, but I still call myself a leadership development expert because I know my stuff and I know what I'm talking about. But there's always more to. I work with people in science that was like, well, you're never going to call yourself an expert if you're waiting to learn everything, because there's always new things that are coming out in the world of science. And you could talk about so many different industries and get to that. And so I think it's about how do we get to a point where we're comfortable with ourselves in the moment. And it probably goes back to what you were saying about comfortable and confident with who I want to be today, not having that, right, I've got a destination that I need to get to.
Yeah, I'm trying to rush to get there. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's a funny one, isn't it? You know, and people often say to me, "Oh, you're so confident." And I think that's where it goes a little bit wonky, because people can appear confident to us.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't because I fake it till I make it, but inside it's a very different experience, you know, and I think that's often because, you know, I've pinpointed, like, let's just say, people will say, if I'm going to deliver a keynote to 1,000 people, you know, 10 minutes before I'm due on, people will go, "You're not nervous, you're not crapping it, you're not shitting your pants." I'll be like, "I'm not, no." But am I confident? No. But I'm no longer nervous because I trust myself.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know what's going to happen. But for me, it's never about, do I know what I'm talking about? When it comes to presenting, a lot of people go, I need to know exactly what I'm talking about. I need to have thought through every single possible question that somebody's going to ask me, so that I know the answer, so I don't look a dick at that moment.
Yeah.
Whereas I go about that a little bit differently now. I think, actually, where I trust myself is that I'm okay with not knowing the answer.
Yes.
I'm all right with going, do you know what? Good question. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah.
Now, if you think I should have thought about that, well, that's up to you, but I don't. I don't have to know everything.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
But I do think there's a big difference between people looking like they're confident and not being confident.
Yeah. And you've hit a real good one there, because so many people say to me, they give me the example that I'm in a meeting. I've been invited to that meeting because I'm the subject matter expert.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there actually just worrying about, what if somebody asks me a question and I can't answer it? And it sometimes takes them away from the focus of the meeting, because they're so worried, especially if there's senior people in there. What if they ask me a question, I'm supposed to know everything? And I'm like, well, no, it's not about trying to get to know absolutely everything there is to know before that meeting. It's about getting comfortable with saying something along the lines of, do you know what, that's a really good question. Let me go away and double check that, and I'll get back to you all later on.
You've just got to own it, haven't you?
But I think they think that people are going to walk out of that meeting and go, well, they don't know how to do the job because they couldn't answer that one question.
What an idiot.
Yeah. So what I want you to do is, if you are resonating with this, is what I say to people is, just put yourself in that other person's shoes. So if you were in a meeting and you asked somebody a question and they said, oh, actually, yeah, that's a really good question. Let me go and double check it. I'll get back to you. Would you walk out of that meeting and think, I don't even know why they paid to do that job? Like, they couldn't even answer that question. Everybody always says, no, I'd be fine with them saying I'm going to go and get the answer. Every single person that I've asked says they'd be fine with it if it was the other person. So why are we so harsh on ourselves in thinking we've got to have all the answers? So yeah, if that resonates with you, just think about turning the tables a little bit and how you would feel about someone else like that.
So Emma, given we do spend a fair amount of our time being confident, though, when has there been a time where you've not been confident? Can you share stories? Because obviously part of the podcast is about stories, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I feel like I've got enough digits to tell you how many.
Do you need your fingers and your toes out?
Yeah, how many times. And I think there's been different times throughout my career where confidence has peaked and dipped. I think definitely, probably if I go right back, I can think of where I've really started to feel not confident for the first time was when I was at high school. I got on great. I was, dare I say it, one of the cool kids. And I was, going back to that analogy I used before, I probably felt like a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
And then I left high school and went to college. Barely knew anyone. Probably was on the bus with some school friends, but other than that, no one was on my course. I did fashion design, by the way. You wouldn't think it these days. Did you not know that?
I did not know that.
Something new.
New news.
And I didn't know anybody, and all of a sudden I shrunk in myself, and I went from then being a small fish in a very big pond, and I just completely went within myself, went really shy. And then when I got my first job, um, I felt like there wasn't really anybody at work that was similar to me, and so I really changed over those few years. So I almost felt like I got kind of knocked back at college and then had to build myself back up again to be confident. Funny story though, because like I said, I could tell you so many different instances, but funny story, and going back to the fake it till you make it scenario.
Right.
My first day at Phones for You, so I worked there for 7 years, and my very first day, you're walking in, you're like, oh, I just didn't like that thought of being the newbie and everyone's staring at, oh, there's a new person in the office. So, I was walking around and thinking, oh, I don't want people staring at me. Anyway, walked to the toilets, and I'm walking, going back to what I was saying before, probably walking a bit more upright and higher than what I felt on the inside, thinking, no, just look confident, you'll be fine, look like you know your way around the office and you're not a newbie going, oh, where are the toilets and where things are. And I walked through this office that wasn't my team that I worked with, so I had to go round the corner and walk through this office, and I felt like all eyes were on me, and just very confidently press the little button to, it's one of those doors that you have to have a pass for on the other side, but very confidently press the button to go through to the toilets. And guess what it was the button for? The lights in the whole office. I switched them all off and everyone was in darkness. And so, it was only a little thing. These days, if I did it, I'd just laugh at myself and laugh it off. But back then, I was like, I got in the toilets and I was like, I cannot believe I've just done that. I've really embarrassed myself. It's my first day in the office and I've gone and turned all the lights off. And like I said, now it just feels like it's such a trivial thing.
Well, one way to get everybody to actually look at you.
I know, exactly. So
at least it was dark.
That's it, yeah. And I didn't just run off. I did kind of find where to.
Did you bow?
Switch it back.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
I should have done that, and I'll probably do it now. But yeah, it was just one of them moments where I was trying to act confident, but
you weren't.
What I call a Miranda moment.
A Miranda. I love Miranda. One of my favourite shows ever. One of my favourite shows.
How about
ever.
You?
Oh, do you know what? There's millions, probably millions. It's a tricky one to kind of choose, but I don't know. I'll tell you what does stick out for me, rather than one of my own embarrassing episodes. I'll save them for another day. Is, what I fight against a little bit, what I find irritating around confidence. And that is when people hold on to knowledge to get them through.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like a big myth, I think, that what's the phrase? Knowledge is power. Yeah. When people say that, I'm like, let go of that. That is really not serving you anymore. I need to know the ins and outs of a rat's arse on this topic in order to be confident.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So, I firmly believe now.
Genius.
Yeah. Knowledge is no longer power. It used to be in the 80s. But, we work in a totally different era now.
Yeah.
That was when we were in a knowledge worker era, and we're now in a learning worker era, which, if you're not familiar with those terms, what that means is we're not paid to know stuff anymore, because guess what? We got Google and ChatGPT for that.
Yeah.
Right? So there's no value in knowing stuff. Plus, that information just changes too quickly, and there's too much of it for you to know. So you're fighting a losing battle trying to be confident there. For me, I would say skill or behaviour is power, which I know just doesn't have the same ring to it, but it would be true. So, almost back to me when I'm presenting analogy, I rely on the fact that I know I am skillful because I've practiced. I've been through my fear zone. I've been through my learning zone.
Yeah.
I yo-yo a little bit in the learning zone to growth zone, because obviously there's always more to learn. But because I know I have pinpointed these skills that help me be successful in that situation. And because I know I have honed those skills and got good at them, i.e., I can articulate myself very succinctly and with clarity. I can respond to challenging questions assertively. You know, I could go on with the list. That they're actually, that's where my power is.
Yeah.
And therefore, that lets me be confident.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. So,
yeah.
Sorry, I went off on a bit of a tangent there.
No,
Sorry.
it totally makes sense. It's having that, like you said, the knowledge side of it. You know, there's the saying, isn't it, that people buy into confidence more than they buy into IQ. And you can have the most knowledgeable person in the corner of the room, but if they don't know how to articulate what it is that they need to say, you know, but the most confident person walks in and people like hung on
like a magnet, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I suppose it's how do you get to that point if that's something that you're aspiring to, and that, you know, kind of want to feel more confident.
I guess that's the $1 million question, isn't it? And
you
know, I think the first thing to say on that, is there's no silver bullet. There's not a one single answer that will, like, you know, if we could have a switch on our back to flick it on, well, wouldn't that be bloody brilliant?
It would.
I'm not sure that's going to happen too soon.
No, definitely not.
I'd ask Elon Musk. He's probably the most likely to give it to us right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not that I'd like him to do that, but there you go. But my top tip. What's my top tip to move towards confidence? It would be to let go of that notion that knowledge is power and step more into skill is, which means look at the thing you're trying to be shit at. Let go of the confidence bit. Look at the thing you're trying to be shit at and unpick what are the skills and behaviours of brilliant people there.
Yeah.
Then focus on getting good of them. And lo and behold, confidence will follow very shortly behind it. So it's almost a bit of a look after the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves principle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shift your focus off confidence and look at, but you've got to be able to figure out first. And that's the hard bit.
Yeah.
And that's the bit that people can't be asked to do because it's hard.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, well, I've got a few different ones that are kind of pinging up there. I think the first one is mindset around fear of failing.
Yeah.
I think it's seeing failing as a way of learning and how you work past that.
I agree.
And I think as a leader, you definitely want to be creating a culture where it's okay to make mistakes because that's how we learn and failure is good.
Yeah.
So definitely that one. Stop comparing yourself, and I'm looking right in the camera here if you're on YouTube. Stop comparing yourself to other people. It's such a big thing that we get comparinitis when we're not feeling confident and we look at other people. You are only seeing part of that person that they choose to show to the world. You can't see all the chaos that's going on in their head or their lives. You can't see that messy drawer. I always like to think about it as a messy drawer. Everyone's got a messy drawer, exactly. But we hide it away, and it's the same in terms of sometimes how we're feeling. So yeah, stop comparing yourself to other people. I think as well, if we're going to go really back to basics here, and a good starting point, if you're really low on confidence, is the next time you brush your teeth, try brushing your teeth with your opposite hand. Very random tip that you probably wouldn't expect.
You're going to get to work with toothpaste all over your face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's not going to help with your confidence.
Just imagine it.
Yeah.
Can I do it? I'm a left-hander, by the way, so...
Yeah, oh, so you'd have to do yours with your right hand, yeah. Now, the reason I say that is because it fuses, your brain has to fuse new neural pathways to learn how to do something that you've been doing for a long time in a different way.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to train your brain to get used to, doing new things, even if it is just brushing your teeth with the opposite hand. But then you know, go a little bit bigger each time. So this is just about changing routines and doing things differently. Or that thing that you've had on your list for a while that you said, I've always wanted to do that. That's maybe quite a risky, adrenaline-fueled thing.
Or something quite bold, a big, bold move.
Absolutely, yeah. But you might need to work your way up to that, like brushing teeth with the opposite hand. Next time you go to the supermarket, buy things that you don't normally buy and try some new food. So doing new things like that and building up to it, and in terms of my experience, personal experience with that, especially over the last couple of years, whenever I've been on to a retreat, most of them with you, Jodes, I always come away feeling uber confident, that little boost because we've done something that we've not done before. Like, can you remember when we went ghyll scrambling?
No, that was out of our comfort zone. That was definitely in the fear zone.
Now I want you to picture, we might come dressed like that.
Well, no, actually, if you're watching on YouTube, then you might get to see a little flash of the picture of Emma and I ghyll scrambling right at the end. I might see if I can find it and put it on. Very,
very sexy. Basically, we've got wetsuits on, but not just a wetsuit. We've got a helmet on, because if you don't know what ghyll scrambling is, it's basically whitewater rafting without the raft. It's just you chucking yourself down the ravines and all sorts. But we had a helmet on and shorts over,
like football shorts, 80s football shorts.
Yeah,
over the
wetsuit. Yeah. So even if you're not watching on YouTube, I'm sure you can picture it. You might not want to. Hopefully, not eat your dinner. But but that, just going back to the confidence side, is I came away from that weekend just feeling like I'd done something that really boosted my confidence, because I was like, wow, I can't believe I've done that.
Yeah.
And even now, if someone asked me to do it tomorrow, I'd be like, I don't actually, it's still be nerve-wracking.
I remember there was one big jump that was really narrow, and there were massive rocks on either side, and it was a big drop. But the pool that we needed to land in was like 10 foot away.
Yeah, you almost had to dive.
And I remember Hayley saying to us, just focus your eyes on where you want to land. And I was thinking, yeah, but I can't jump 10 foot.
Yeah.
But it worked, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it took me about 20 minutes.
Yeah. No, I think I went somewhere near the back, because I was just like, I need to see how everyone else is doing this first. But I suppose that's a good analogy there, is, focus on where it is that you want to land, and keep your eye on that. But so I think doing things and getting confident in your personal life, I think definitely translates then into your role as a leader, because the more confident you feel as a person, that's, by default, that's going to translate.
Even in your own identity, who you are as Jodie or Emma, it's not just about the badge that you wear with your job title on, is it?
No,
True.
Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely.
Well, like I said, there's no silver bullet answer to confidence. There's a million and one and more things that could help to do it. It's actually, we'd love to hear yours. Yeah. If you've got your top tips for being confident, whether it's in life or in leadership or in putting lipstick on, for that matter. I could do with a few tips on that. Then, drop them below this, wherever you're watching, send us a message, we'll share them on social media, we'll read them out. But let us know what your top tips are for confidence.
Yeah.
So it's probably about time we brought this episode to a close, isn't it?
Yeah. I hope this has helped and resonated with you. And if you want to hear more from us, then follow, like, subscribe.
Give us a share.
Yeah, all the things that you need to do. Absolutely, share this with anybody that you think might need it. But we have thoroughly enjoyed this chat, haven't we, Jodes?
Yeah, definitely.
Look forward to catching you on the sofa next time.
Yeah, we'll see you then. Bye. Thanks for listening to Lipstick, Laughs and Leadership.
If something in today's conversation resonated, take a moment to sit with it, or share this episode with someone who might need to hear it too.
You can subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and that really helps more women find these conversations.
We're glad you spent this time with us, and we hope you're leaving feeling a little more grounded, a little more confident, and a little less alone.
So we'll meet you back on the sofa next time.